Welcome to Here She Stands, the podcast where Lutheran women from across Australia come together as a community, sharing stories and testifying to God's goodness. We do this so when the tribulations of this world try to push us down, we can hold firm to the word of God and confidently say, "Here I stand, I can do no other." My name is Lexy and I'm the wife of a pastoral student and a homeschooling mama.
And I'm Sonia, a Lutheran pastor's wife, homeschooling mum and homemaker.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Here She Stands. This episode is going to be a little bit different. I'm not joined by Sonia today, but I am joined by a wide range of other young women. Last month, my family and I had the privilege of going to Victoria to Halls Gap to attend a young adults and young families retreat. This retreat was hosted by Creative Word Fellowship. And to start off today's episode, I am joined by Melanie Witwer, who is part of Creative Word Fellowship. So thank you for joining me today, Melanie.
Oh, you're very welcome.
So we're just going to do a little bit of an introduction into Creative Word Fellowship and the Young Adults Retreat. So Mel, I know that you joined me in episode 6 and you talked all about CWF, but could you please give us just a quick overview of what CWF is?
Yeah, for sure. So as you said, it stands for Creative Word Fellowship. So we are a not-for-profit Lutheran teaching ministry in Australia. We're confessionally Lutheran, but we're independent of any Lutheran bodies per se within Australia. And the main purpose is to equip people with the life-giving word of Jesus Christ. And we do that in a few different ways. We have teaching conferences, Speak Lord conferences. We support confessional Lutheran teaching over in Nepal and Cambodia. We have a book ministry where we get confessionally Lutheran books available in Australia for sale. And most importantly for this episode, we have been hosting a young adults Bible study retreat for a number of years now. So it's all very exciting.
Yeah, so could you please tell our listeners a little bit more about the Young Adults Retreat?
So they weren't started by myself, but they were started by my husband Peter and Pastor Josh Muller, who's currently the pastor up in Wodonga. And I think there was just a group of like-minded people, part of our Bible study that we were having, and just associated friends who we all just wanted to go on a camp together and thought that a Bible study retreat was a great idea. And so apparently I was too busy to be involved at the start, but Pete and Josh got together and managed to organise it. They decided to hire out Tandara in Halls Gap because they could do like full catering.
Mm-hmm.
And this meant that everyone could actually, be involved in receive the teaching and not have to worry about being part of duty groups or, having to cook meals or anything like that. So it was specific that they chose Tandara. And yeah, the first camp was held in April in 2017. And we've had 6 since then, I think.
Yeah. And so every year, have you had a guest speaker come and do the teaching?
The first year we had Pastor Guntar's Beikovs, which many people who many people may know. So he led the first camp, in 2017. So they came up with a very great structure for the camps, which kind of maximised the teaching time as well as fellowship time. So we have in the morning teaching sessions with shared meals at lunch, and then in the afternoon we decided to have a big gap of free time because Halls Gap is a beautiful place, lots of walks to go on, places to visit. So the idea being that having a lot of free time, a lot of fellowship time meant that people could chat and debrief about the Bible study topics they'd been studying in the morning. And that's also really valuable to growing faith, as well as hearing the word. It's that encouragement. And we couldn't have done these camps without really generous donations from Creative Word Fellowship, but also the people who donate to Creative Word Fellowship, because we have along the years offset a lot of the costs to make it affordable. And as the years have gone by, we've got more families coming, we've subsidised the cost of the kids' registrations because of the generous donations of a lot of people. So from myself and from the rest of the team, if you're one of those people who's listening, thank you so much.
So who was the speaker this year?
So this year, we were very, very fortunate to have Pastor Brian Kachelmeier. So he's a Lutheran, confessionally Lutheran pastor from the United States. He's pastor at Crown of Life Lutheran in San Antonio, Texas. And he's a frequent guest on podcasts such as Issues, Etc. and Thy Strong Word. And he's married to his wife, Andy, and he has 4 kids. And he very graciously agreed to come over after being only at his new congregation for 1 week. So they released him to come here to teach, and he taught at the Young Adults Retreat, and he also held some sessions at Hamilton and in Adelaide.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Mel, for coming on and just giving us an overview of Creative Word Fellowship. And we will link all of the details to CWF's website, and we'll link all of that in the show notes. So thank you so much, Mel.
Thanks for having me.
So I want to shift gears here a little bit, and I want us to kind of stop and pause and understand in the book of Genesis. You begin in chapter 1 with life. All of a sudden, everything just falls apart so quickly. You're driving down the road and the wheels just come off, and now there's death. And so you're waiting for the baby who's going to bring life. And you're waiting and you're waiting, and you go through chapter after chapter. You get to chapter 50, and it ends on death. Jacob dies, Joseph dies, everybody dies. I mean, that's the whole of the book of Genesis. Born, die, born, die, born, die. And you're waiting for somehow this cycle to end. And so there's this long period of anticipation, a long period of suffering and affliction. The people of God are waiting to see what God promises will be seen, but is not seen yet. So even Abraham, when he's promised that he will have the land, he doesn't see it, except he sees a cemetery, a plot that's for a grave, a burial site. That's what he sees. And so you're waiting and anticipating, but in the midst of this, there's affliction, there's sorrow, there's sadness, there's sickness, there's darkness, there's death. I mean, all these things are happening, and the people of God are just waiting. So even in the New Testament, we are waiting for Jesus to return. And we keep hearing that Jesus is going to return any minute now, the imminent coming of Jesus. It could be by the end of today. It could be tomorrow. It could be next month. It could be next year. But we're waiting and we're anticipating. But in the midst of this, we are suffering and we're struggling. But yet what God does is he gives us his promise over and over so that we can have joy and rejoice in the midst of suffering.
So, Ruby, thank you for coming onto the podcast again to talk about camp. And for those who have been following our podcast from the beginning, Ruby, this is your second time on our podcast. We interviewed you back in the day.
I believe it was episode 10.
Episode 10,
I think.
Okay, so if you haven't listened to Ruby's interview yet, I encourage you to check out episode possibly 10.
Episode 10 of
It is
Here
10?
She Stands podcast.
Okay, so
Go check it out yourself.
yes. So let's start by talking about you going to young adults retreat. How many times have you been before?
Well, I'm technically not a young adult yet, but I go with my parents because we're a young family now. My parents have been to every single one, all 6 of them, and I think I've been to 5. I'm fairly certain there was a year that they didn't bring us and we got babysat by our grandparents. And so 5.
5 times.
Yep.
And how many times have you been to Tandara?
I think over the course of my lifetime, I've been there at least 12 times, possibly more. I haven't counted all of them. But since I've been going to kids' camps, and my school used to do camps up there, church camps, now CLW, and all of the young adults retreats. A lot of times.
Yes. So
it's
you've
like my home away from home.
You've been raised there.
I've been raised at Tandara.
So for our listeners who don't know, Tandara is the camp where young adults retreat is held.
Yeah,
It's a Lutheran camp at Halls Gap in
Halls
Victoria.
Gap in Victoria,
Yes.
in a beautiful oasis.
Halls Gap is beautiful.
It's so beautiful.
It is stunning.
Yeah.
Absolutely stunning. So what were some of the highlights for you at camp?
I always love the fellowship.
Yeah.
Even though there's not many people my age, I get to talk to all these young adults who are role models to me, who I haven't seen in maybe a year, but I get to catch up with them again. And it's really uplifting to talk to old friends who are now young adults going themselves. It's always great. The fellowship is always great with the children. I love looking after them and following them around the playground and keeping them quiet during studies. The fellowship is probably the highlights for me. And then the studies, of course, getting to listen to a great pastor talk about a certain topic is wonderful.
Yeah. And this camp, you didn't actually stay on site. Your family booked an Airbnb.
Yeah, the last couple times, last year, in 2023, my dad was the study leader. So Pastor Sam did that, and we got the little flat out the back of Tandara, and so we had our own space, which was wonderful, but we still didn't get much sleep. And then this year we got an Airbnb about 100 meters down the road, and it backed on to the very back paddock of Tandara. So a couple times we just braved the kangaroos at night time and just took a torch and jumped over the back fence. Yeah, that was great that we got our own space, and now that we've got the baby as well, it was much easier than sharing a room, because Johan probably would have woken up all the people all the time.
Yes, because he's been pulling quite a few late nights.
He's a teenager and he just doesn't want to go to sleep at the moment.
Yep. And it was really good that you had an Airbnb because you had an iron and an ironing board. And so I would take all of my crinkled clothes there to iron.
I think that happened for multiple people. And we also stopped in there along the way to down the street one time. So I had to get my shoes. And so we brought along all these young women. They were like, "Oh, this is a great Airbnb. Yeah, we'll stay here sometime."
Yep.
Yeah, it was funny. Yeah, the iron, lifesaver.
Absolutely.
Tandara needs to invest in some irons.
Put that on the camp survey form.
In the survey form. Well, I've already done mine. Okay. So
what I found really nice about camp was doing worship every day.
That is one of the highlights for me as well. And singing hymns every single day, morning and night, and divine service on Sundays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really beautiful. And it was just so lovely to be able to do like matins with other people who were really enthusiastic about it.
Definitely.
Yeah. Because all the people who were at camp were pretty enthusiastic about being Lutheran.
And hymns.
And hymns.
And
yes.
Just Lutheranism.
Yes.
It was great.
Did you end up getting any books from the bookstall?
Yes. So I had my eye on the illuminated hymnal, which is just like a hymnal, but it's colouring in. And so my artistic streak needed that. Yep. And so I got it. It was really good. And it has some beautiful pictures. And then you have the song, the hymn, stuck in your head while you're colouring in.
Yes.
It's wonderful. And then I think my mum also got Pew Sisters and the kids' Luther's Catechism and Hymnal that they had there that are really set out well. But most of the other books I think we already had, like Extra Nos, Flames, Autobiography, I got for Christmas, and a couple others.
Yeah, they had a really good selection of books there.
Yeah, and cheap because you don't have to pay for shipping.
Yes, because all of these books have come from Concordia Publishing House in America.
And it's always very expensive for the shipping.
Yes. Yes, I have a very firm conviction. Or you could say it's a dream. Well, I reckon that CPH should open up a bookstore here in Australia.
A warehouse.
Warehouse, yes.
Just so that the shipping's not as expensive.
Yes. Yeah.
It costs as much as the books to get the book here.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah, they had a really good bookstore there.
Yes.
And Taz bought a good collection of books as well. And he bought, Luther's Small Catechism.
Yeah.
For children.
That was really good. The pictures are beautiful.
Yeah.
In those.
Yes. And he bought the story picture Bible.
Oh, yeah. That was pretty.
Yeah, it's probably the best kids Bible I've seen, because some of them are just,
Some of them it's just rewording everything.
yeah.
And it's not true. It's made the Bible story an actual fiction story.
Yeah.
And that's why we should just read your kids the Bible.
Hashtag read your kids the Bible. Yeah, we were given a kids Bible a couple of years ago, and on the front cover it's a cartoon picture of different figures from scripture, and they're all happy and they're all smiling.
Yeah.
And Kimmy asked me one day, she said, "Mummy, why is Goliath standing next to King David smiling? King David killed him."
Yeah, good job, Kimmy. Good pointing out the silliness of kids' Bibles.
So, yeah, and that's one of the reasons why a lot of kids' Bibles I don't particularly like, is because they actually take away the true purpose and meaning of that particular passage, because they try to make it,
They dumb it down
or make it entertaining, or try to make it less, what would you say?
gory, less
Yeah.
violent for the
Yeah.
children. When really
Yeah.
there's a lot of violence in the Bible.
There is.
But
And there are ways that you can teach kids these violent stories without dwelling on the violence. And the Bible doesn't
Yeah.
include all the gory details.
yeah,
And
most
so,
of the time.
most of the time. Yeah. So there is a particular way in which you can teach your children these accounts without traumatizing them, or without
Yeah.
making it awful.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So read your kids the real Bible, please. Thank you.
Yes.
Hashtag not memorize hymns. Hashtag read your kids the Bible. That's
That's right.
another t-shirt you need
That's
to
another
make.
t-shirt we'll make. Yeah. So there were not many other girls your age there.
No, but I'm really used to that. As soon as I became a teenager instead of a child, it felt like after that, a lot of people stopped coming because some people moved away. One of my friends whose parents are missionaries, they went back to Nepal, and some others, they moved to the States, and people just live so far away, it takes too long to get there to Halls Gap, which didn't really stop us. Tassie folks did it. We still made it. But there were a couple years where I had some really good friends and we were just playing the whole time, and that was awesome. But then COVID happened, we all grew up, everyone moved away, and so there's not many people my age there at all.
Yeah.
Let alone girls.
Yes.
But that's okay, because I love playing with the children.
Yes.
Yes.
And you also love having great conversations with the adults as well.
Yeah.
And hopefully in the next couple of years, more and more young people will start coming.
Yeah. Well, this year I think it's the most there's ever been there.
Like it's growing quickly.
It's growing quickly because everyone's having so many kids. And one thing I loved about this year, but also scared me. Last year there was 8 babies there, and this year they were all toddlers.
Yeah.
But they were still the same little people, and one of them I had loved last year so much, and I got a photo of then and now of me and her, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
All the kids grew up, and we got more babies.
Yes. And more babies coming. There were quite a few
It was
pregnant ladies
4
there
pregnant
too.
ladies.
Yeah. So Ruby, thank you.
Thank you for having me again, Lexy.
So Lizzie, thank you for actually being willing to sit down and just have a quick chat with us about the retreat and about bringing your family here. So where have you come from?
So we've come from Berry in the Riverland. It was about a 5.5-hour trip, which went surprisingly well.
Yeah. And how many children did you bring to?
We were 3, so my oldest daughter is nearly 6, my son is nearly 4, and then my youngest, who's not really a baby anymore, is nearly 2.
Okay. So is this the first time you've actually come to a young adults retreat with all your family?
Yes, the last time we came, I would have been about 6 months pregnant with this daughter.
Okay. So it's quite different this time, bringing a whole bunch of kids.
Yeah.
So Lizzie, what do you do?
At the moment, so I'm at home with 3 kids, which is amazing, and we are formally, I suppose, starting homeschool in about a week with my oldest daughter, although we've been sort of getting our head around what that will look like for about the last year.
Yeah. Yep. So this camp has kind of been a bit of a celebration and a getaway before getting into homeschooling.
Yeah. I think actually one of the big things that did help us make up our mind about whether to make a big trip was just knowing that the kids would be around other kids that they've seen here and there and get to form those friendships as well.
Yeah, that's really good. So have you always been Lutheran? Did you grow up in the Lutheran church?
Yes, I've got Lutheran roots going back every direction a long way.
Yeah.
So I was a Werner. My parents are Clemens and all these sorts of good German names. So I was baptised a few months old and have always been in a Lutheran church, but I think I've only really started to appreciate a bit more what that means past sitting down to sing stand up for Jesus and all those sort of jokes. Really in about 2015 or 2016 when I met my husband and had just taken a little detour off to visit a few other churches and found that I'd hear other ideas and think, that doesn't quite sound right, but I don't know why. So maybe it's not wrong.
Yeah.
But thankfully along came Hayden, my husband, and introduced me to the Book of Concord and the Small Catechism and tabletop radio and lots of resources like that. So that's been very handy.
Yes. Did he grow up Lutheran as well?
Yes, he also did.
Yeah. So you've both got a strong Lutheran background, and that's something that you can pass on to your children as well. Yes. Yeah. So what have been some of the highlights of this retreat so far?
It's always just so encouraging to be around other people, especially having other young families here. But I also really love the chance to have people from different stages of life together and not have that too segregated out. Yeah. So just being around other people is good, but also my husband and I have been taking turns sort of watching the kids and one person listening to the talks, which has been really nice just to have being able to devote as much brain power as we have left
Yes.
to Pastor Brian.
Yeah, I have found that the camp has done a really good job at accommodating the kids. A really good job, because I know that kids and camps don't always go well together, but they've done a really good job just accommodating families and kids. So it's been really good.
To on is such a big thing as well.
Yeah.
And it's such a good location. Trampolines and grass and extra rooms.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Lizzie.
Thank you.
So, JL, this is your first time at Young Adults Retreat.
Yes.
So where do you actually live?
I live in a small country town called Pinneroo.
And your families come here as well. You've got some aunts and uncles and cousins and all different kinds of people here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're sitting in JL's room where she has stayed with her family, and there are bunk beds everywhere. So it's the biggest room in the whole camp.
Yep.
So you're from Pinneroo, and what school do you go to there?
I went to Pinneroo Primary School, and this year I'm starting at a new school, Murrayville Community College, my first year of high school.
Excellent. So you're grade 8. Yeah. Oh, that's exciting. So high school now.
Yeah.
And what church do you go to in Pinneroo?
Pinneroo Lutheran Church.
Yeah. Have you been going there very long?
Yeah, a few years.
A few years now. And have you had confirmation?
I'm actually going through confirmation right now.
Yeah. And what's that like?
Very good, yeah.
Very good. I didn't do confirmation the same way because I was an adult when I came into the Lutheran church, and I'd already done heaps of study. So mine looked a little bit different, but I'm curious to know a bit more about confirmation.
Yeah.
Is it every week?
Yeah. We don't do it during the holidays, but once holidays finish, it's every week, yeah.
Yeah. And what type of stuff do you do?
So we've got the sheets that we do during the week, and then we bring it back on Sunday. And after the confirmation, I think they check it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And does your pastor do that with you?
Yeah, sometimes, or just our Sunday school teacher.
Yeah. And how have you found confirmation? Did you find it challenging, or were there things that you were unsure of? Or overall, was it quite okay?
I think it was quite okay. It was a little bit challenging at the start, but I've gotten used to it now, so it's pretty good.
And so I was actually going to ask, how old are you?
I'm 12, turning 13 in May.
Yeah, so not long now, and you're considered a teenager.
Yep.
Though I don't particularly like the word teenager. I think young lady or young woman is a bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I reckon. So you've come here to camp and it's your first time here. What have been some of the lovely things about camp?
I think most of the people here are very nice, and the scenery is beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been great if we could have done some of those activities out there.
Yeah.
But not this time. And what has been some of the challenging things about camp?
I'm actually not sure. I think it's been pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you been able to make a few friends?
I don't think there's many people my age, but most of my little cousins are.
Yeah. It's a young adults camp and they've got lots of young families and they've got, quite a few young people, but there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of people your age.
Yeah.
Which is a bit hard.
Yeah.
So what kind of things have you been doing throughout the camp when the teaching's on?
Sort of just watching the little kids and stuff like that.
So being like the big older cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we all need one of those sometimes. And how have you found you've done morning worship and evening worship? Is that what it's like at your church?
Yeah, similar. Yeah, pretty much the same, I think.
Yeah. Do you do as much chanting and singing at your church as we've done here?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And the evenings have been quite fun, playing games and just being with the family and doing things like that. Yeah. So what was the game we were playing last night?
I'm not quite sure what it was called. It had an interesting name, but that was very fun.
Yeah. It's like Italian or something. And
yeah.
Yeah. So you've been going to the Lutheran church in Pinaroo for a while, a couple of years, but you didn't grow up in the Lutheran church?
So I did go there when I was younger, and then we went to a church in Lamoureux, and then we've gone back to the Pinaroo church.
Yeah. Yeah, and most of your family's there now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting how a lot of your family have ended up in the same place, going to the same church. And do you have any brothers and sisters?
I've got 2 twin brothers.
2 twin brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're a big, busy older sister. Yeah, and how old are they?
10.
10.
Yeah.
And do you have your own Bible, your own copy of the Bible?
Yes.
Is there someone that is helping? Like, I know you're doing confirmation, but do you have like older people that you can go to when you have questions about?
Yeah, probably like Mum.
Yeah, and to just talk about, what the Bible says and different things and just questions about life and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And if you could change something about the camp, what would you change?
I actually don't know.
Yeah, maybe a few more people your age.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do any of your friends go to your church?
Yeah, 2 of my friends. Yeah.
And they couldn't come to camp this time?
No.
Yeah, and you've got a big drive back.
Yep, 4 hours.
4 hours. I was told that there's a dirt track that you can sometimes take.
Yeah.
Depending on the weather.
Yeah.
And that's a bit of a shortcut.
Yeah.
Do you reckon you'll be able to take that one today?
Probably.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the chat.
That's all right.
And I hope you have a good day.
You too.
Thank you for actually being willing to come on here and share a little bit of your story and what you've enjoyed about the camp.
Thanks for having me.
So Danielle, where are you from?
Yeah, so I'm from a little town in the Mallee called Pinaroo in South Australia. So yeah, it's quite a small farming community. So I'm married to a school teacher and we have 2 lovely children. So yeah, I'm a stay-at-home mum and I guess second time on this Creative Word Fellowship Young Adults Retreat and loving it so far.
Yeah. And I think they've done a really good job of catering for kids.
Absolutely. The kids have been having some kids activities and the surrounds are beautiful with, the grampians all around us. And yeah, it's lovely to see them all just making friends and having a great time too. It's not just for the adults. It's definitely been a whole family affair the camp. So it's been great.
Yes, absolutely. And did you grow up Lutheran?
No, I actually didn't. So I came from AOG kind of Pentecostal backgrounds growing up. I did attend a Lutheran school from reception to year 12. So that did give me a bit of an insight, but I didn't have a true, I guess, view of the, what the Lutheran confessions truly were, or anything like that. I probably thought, Lutherans were quite, religious, and I just didn't have an understanding of why they did the things that they did. So, we actually, I guess, kind of fell into the Lutheran church based on our decision to move to a country town of Pinaroo. So, that was back in 2020. We relocated from Adelaide to a place called Murrayville, which is just over the border from Pinaroo. And we, I guess, had limited options for church. It was fairly well, the little Lutheran church there at Pinaroo. So, I've got my sister and her husband, and also my brother and his wife already in Pinaroo. So it was a bit of a, easy choice. We would go to that church, and then, attended there. And then we had, lockdowns and things like that being over the border. So that made it a bit difficult doing live stream from home and things like that. But then I think, 2021 started the process of, I guess, confirmation, which was, really special. I actually did that with my older sister and my younger brother as well, which is really cool. We all kind of were confirmed together as adults, and also our children were baptised. That was 2020, 2021 in the Lutheran church. I didn't quite understand the whole infant baptism, or what it meant. I thought, well, it's not a bad thing to do. That's the done thing when you have a baby and you go to a Lutheran church. So kind of did it backwards, baptised the children, didn't really understand what it meant. But now, having been confirmed, and realising it is such a gift of God, and a great blessing to us, baptism for sure. And what he promises about baptism, it's been amazing to kind of the scriptures come to life. Understanding more about the liturgy and why things are done the way that they are. Like, it's a beautiful thing to learn the significance of the service, and the whys of how it all runs. So
It's so lovely having young families in the church who are not only passionate about the theology of it, but also the beautiful practices that we have as Lutherans.
Absolutely, yes.
The beautiful reverent practices.
Yes, very, very true. It was, I used to think, very, religious in the sense that there was the tradition, which I probably thought, why do they still do that with, we're in the modern age, but understanding the beautiful, I guess, things that have been passed on, and, as you say, the reverent way that the service is run, all points to Christ. It's a beautiful thing to kind of have an understanding of once you do, look into it further.
Yes. And what has been one of the highlights of the retreat?
So it's hard to just, I guess, put it down to one thing. It's as I said, a second time coming. It's been lovely to, I guess, reconnect with other Lutheran women and families, and also meet new women and new families as well. Just the other night we had a bit of a late night hymnal singing session, which was just sounded beautiful, having the voices kind of unite a cappella. That was something very special that I guess that's not something that happens every day. Like, obviously we do sing together in church services and things, but something special about just the gathering of voices, a cappella, singing God's praise, which is beautiful. So for me it was a bit of a highlight.
Yes, absolutely. And it was really lovely that it was a lot of the men who were kind of leading the way.
Even though some of them
great, could not sing. It was just so lovely to have some men leading the way, because quite often it's something that they don't particularly want to do.
No, and just the deep, almost the strength of their voices, and it was such it is a beautiful thing having men sing praise to God, and then you could hear the women accompanying, and it's lovely.
It was lovely.
It was good.
But thank you so much for spending the last 5, 6, 7 minutes with me.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Okay, Evie, thank you for being on the podcast today. Can you please start by telling everyone how old you are?
I'm 7 and my birthday is in May.
That's right. Now, last month we went to Victoria to go to family camp.
That was fun.
That was fun. Can you tell everyone some of the wonderful things that happened?
We went to the creek and swam.
Yes.
We went to the playground that was there.
Yep.
We had a lovely breakfast and matins, and what did we do at night?
Vespers.
Vespers, and we did a psalm.
Can you remember what the psalm was about?
Rest in God alone my soul.
Rest in God alone my soul. That was a beautiful psalm to sing, wasn't it? So we did matins at camp.
Yeah.
And we do matins here at home every morning with Daddy. What were some of the things that we did differently at camp?
We had a pastor.
Yes.
Instead of a daddy.
Yes.
We had a lot of people.
Yep.
Instead of us.
Yes. Can you think of anything else?
We had communion, and we don't have communion here.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have communion in matins at camp, but we did have it during church.
Yeah, at Sunday. And we stayed on Monday when nearly everyone was gone.
Yeah, everybody went home on Sunday.
Oh, some did.
Most people went home on Sunday, but we stayed an extra night because we had a long way to travel back to Tasmania.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Well done, Evie. Thank you for joining me on the podcast today.
You're welcome.
Hello, Kimmy, and thank you for joining me on the podcast today. Now, can you start by telling everyone how old you are?
I'm 6, and my name's Kimmy.
That is beautiful. Now, Kimmy, can you think of some of the books that Daddy bought for us at camp?
A picture Bible and kids' catechism and a little teeny tiny hymnal.
A little teeny tiny hymnal. And which one of those books is your favourite so far?
The Bible.
The picture Bible?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's got some really good pictures, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Some kids' Bibles have really silly looking pictures, but this one has really good pictures, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Now, Kimmy, what was some of your favourite things at camp?
Ice blocks, the trampoline, kangaroos and the emu.
Yeah, there were kangaroos and emus there. That's right. So we had lots of yummy food at camp, didn't we?
Yummy breakfast.
Yummy breakfasts. And can you remember what was your favourite meal?
Cornflakes.
Cornflakes. It's special to have cornflakes, isn't it? Well, thank you so much, Kimmy, for joining me today.
You're welcome.
Hello, Isabel. Thank you for joining me on the podcast today.
Hello.
Now, we went to family camp. So what is your name?
Isabel.
And how old are you, Isabel?
4.
And we went to family camp last month. Can you remember where camp was? Was it in Queensland? Was it in New South Wales? Can you remember what the state was called? Was it Victoria?
Victoria.
That's right, Victoria. Now, what were some of the fun things that you did when you were at camp?
The cabin.
The cabin. Did you like our little cabin room?
Yeah, and the sink was ugly because it never turned off when I finally turned it off.
The sink was ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little bit hard for you to turn the taps off, wasn't it? But Mummy helped you, didn't I?
And also Daddy.
And Daddy helped you too, that's right. Can you remember all the lovely little babies and little children there?
Yeah.
And can you remember doing matins?
It was different.
It was a bit different to how we do it.
But we didn't do the communion. We only did it at Sunday.
That's right.
And we left at Sunday.
Yeah, we didn't leave on Sunday. We left on Monday.
Oh.
Can you remember singing?
Blessed God alone, my soul. Blessed God alone, my soul.
Yeah, we sang Psalm 62. It was very beautiful. Can you remember singing some of the matins chants? Can you remember singing?
Open day,
Teach me.
teach me your way, O Lord. Walk in your truth.
Here we go. And can you remember singing? Oh, come, let us worship the Lord. Let us shout aloud to the Okay, you sing.
I can and I sing to the Lord.
Thank you very much for coming on the podcast today, Isabel.
Rest in God alone, my soul. Rest in God alone, my soul.
For God alone my soul waits in silence, for my hope is from Him. He alone is my rock and my salvation, my fortress, I shall not be shaken.
Rest in God alone, my soul. Rest in God alone, my soul.
On God rests my deliverance and my honor, my mighty rock, my refuge is in God. Trust in Him at all times, O people, pour out your heart before Him. God is a refuge for us.
Rest in God alone, my soul. Rest in God alone, my soul.
Those of low estate are but a breath, those of high estate are delusion. In the balances they go up, they are together lighter than a breath. Put no confidence in extortion, set no vain hopes on robbery. If riches increase, do not set your heart on them.
Rest in God alone, my soul. Rest in God alone, my soul.
Once God has spoken, twice I have heard this, that power belongs to God, and steadfast love belongs to you, O Lord, for you repay to all according to their work.
Rest in God alone, my soul. Rest in God alone, my soul.
Miscarriage is often a difficult topic to talk about, yet it is something that many women have experienced. In our next episode, we will be hearing from Brianna Graham, a pastor's wife from Lowood in Queensland. Brianna will share her struggles with infertility and miscarriage, as well as the hope and comfort that her Heavenly Father gives her.
Here She Stands is an Australian podcast for Lutheran women, and we release new episodes every 2 weeks on a Tuesday. You can find us on all major podcasting platforms as well as YouTube. You can also follow on Facebook and Instagram. If you would like to contact us directly, our email address is hereshestands.podcast@gmail.com. If you would like to check out our blog or sign up to our email newsletter, please go to our website at hereshestands.online.
Until next time, we pray that you will hold fast to God's word and confidently say, "Here I stand, I can do no other."